Hi, this is Wartak again. I wanted to show some examples of some notching and notching tools. Um, well, let's see, what do we got here? Actually, I kind of like this one simply because it didn't require that much effort. That's an example of one of those tang knives. Basically, the tools that I use for them, it's a delrin handled tool, but if you look really carefully here, you can see that I've got this nail that I've hammered out, and I specifically use this shape in order to notch, and it kind of reinforces some impressure when you're pushing down on the notch. Another example here is this piece is an example of wood handle. It's ironwood actually, and I wouldn't recommend turning ironwood to make tools because it's apparently a major pain in the butt. But it has one of these brass inserts with an Allen wrench set screw in the middle, and that's actually pretty good because it kind of keeps you from stripping out the screws for it. But again, the same basic shape. You've got kind of a wedge there. The last tool here is actually just kind of a punch, and that's just to open things up. And so an example of that would be this piece here. I was just kind of goofing around, and you can see the notch is kind of narrow, and then I blow it out into a bigger shape. Just kind of experimenting. This is actually a piece of chert from Missouri, and actually I got a lot of the chert from Missouri from Lake Truman. It's an Army Corps of Engineers lake, and their only rule is don't take artifacts, but you can take rock. And so I actually asked, can I take rock? And they said, sure, you can take rock, just don't take the artifacts. And so that's about it. Here's a smaller example. For the most part, even the small piece that I have here, I use this, what would be seen as kind of a larger tool. This thing's double-headed, and I kind of actually rarely use the bigger one. I tend to just focus on this one. And so you can hammer it pretty thin, and then you make this basic shape. And let's see if I can get a better contrast here. Like I said, this angle, for whatever reason, you angle it like that, and when you push down on it, it has that in-force that goes with it, and it really makes those notches a little easier. For the most part, the pad that I use is just this little thick leather folded over on itself. I've had these. I've had examples where I was notching and had the crack actually propagate across like this. It's ridiculous, and I've had them break. And what I think I've learned from the breaks that I've had in the past is that what you want to do when you're supporting the piece, you really want to support it almost at the point of contact. And so, let's see if I can demonstrate this. It's kind of tough, but when you have your pad here and you have your point, the idea here is that you want to put support right below where my middle finger is, right here, right where you're applying force. It's kind of like that back force that you need when you're flaking in general. And so right here underneath, if that's the point at which you're providing that back pressure in the palm of your hand, you can kind of feel it if you balance it right. And if you have enough leather that's overlapping, you won't have to worry about cutting yourself if you miss or if it slips. But that's basically how I do it. And the other advantage of having what is really essentially it's almost like an Ishi stick, is that you have a certain amount of control. You put the back end there against your hip, and then you can essentially have a little bit more control. And the other thing is if you twist while you're pressing down on it, that will also snap off an ear. You want to avoid that, of course, but with it being so long, you actually, I think, have a lot more control with the piece. And so I tend to have this thing sort of sitting in my lap. I don't know, I can try to demonstrate it. Let's see. You basically hold it like that, and you've got your pad in your hand, and the control is pretty good. Unfortunately, I can't really balance this stuff too well, but the idea is that if you have it like this, you can see how things line up. Your hand on the part there, and then you can put a lot of control on that. Again, the same idea. You're supplying most of the support right about there underneath. If you do that, you can really avoid it, the snapping of it. But also, you have to kind of widen it out a little bit. You got to make sure that that notch is wider than the tool. And before once you knock the major flake, you kind of round it out a little bit on there, and then you flip the piece over and then take the next notch out of it. So, anyway, that's about it. I think the important take-home message from all this is actually the shape of the tool. It's this kind of wedge effect, and like I said, if it's wedged like that, when you push down, that angle it just reinforces a certain amount of impressure, which pushes that flake forward and it opens it up a bit. Anyway, that's it. That's basically my notching tool in a nutshell. And I use this one even for the big one, even for these little guys. Anyway, that's about it. Here's just a few examples of notched spear points and arrowheads. Thanks. Bye.